Hello, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Inskeep, and I'm going to be reading you another story about Frog and Toad written by Arnold Lobel. And this is called Frog and Toad Together. There's 5 stories in this book. I'll be reading 3 of them to you. The first one is called A List. And here we've got a picture of Toad in bed making a list. Okay. One morning, Toad sat in bed. "I have many things to do," he said. "I will write them all down on a list so that I can remember them." Toad wrote on a piece of paper, "A list of things to do today." Then he wrote, "Wake up." "I've done that," said Toad, and he crossed out the words, "Wake up." Now here's his other list, and he's still got more things on his list. Then Toad wrote other things on his paper. Eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, take a walk with Frog, eat lunch, take a nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to sleep. "There," said Toad. "Now my day is all written down." He got out of bed and had something to eat, so he crossed out eat breakfast. Now he's got 2 things done on his list. Toad took his clothes out of the closet and put them on. Then he crossed out get dressed. Toad put the list in his pocket. He opened the door, walked out into the morning. Soon Toad was at Frog's front door. He took the list from his pocket and crossed out, go to Frog's house. So here he is getting dressed, and here he is going to his friend's house. He's got his pencil in his hand so he can cross things off. Toad knocked at the door. "Hello," said Frog. "Look at my list of things to do," said Toad. "Oh," said Frog, "that's very nice." Toad said, "My list tells me that we will go for a walk." "All right," said Frog, "I'm ready." So here he is, talking to his friend, and they're going to take a walk together. I'm glad that Frog is being kind and wanting to go on a walk. Frog and Toad went on a long walk. Then Toad took the list from his pocket again. He crossed out, take walk with Frog. Just then there was a strong wind. It blew the list out of Toad's hand. The list blew high up into the air. "Help!" cried Toad. "My list is blowing away. What will I do without my list?" And there's the list flying up into the air. "I cannot." "Hurry," said Frog. "We will run and catch it." "No," shouted Toad. "I cannot do that." "Why not?" asked Frog. "Because," wailed Toad, "running after my list is not one of the things that I wrote on my list of things to do." Oh, he's a silly Toad, all right. Frog ran after the list. He ran over hills and swamps, but the list blew on and on. At last Frog came back. "I'm sorry," gasped Frog, "but I cannot catch your list." "Oh, blah," said Toad. There they are, trying to catch. Frog's trying to catch the list, and now Toad's sad because he doesn't have it. "I cannot remember any of these things that were on my list of things to do. I'll just have to sit here and do nothing," said Toad. So Toad sat and did nothing, and Frog sat with him. After a long time, Frog said, "Toad, it's getting dark. We should be going to sleep now." "Go to sleep," shouted Toad. "That was the last thing on my list." Toad wrote on the ground with a stick, "Go to sleep," and then he crossed it out. "There," said Toad. "Now my day is all crossed out." "I'm glad," said Frog. Then Frog and Toad went right to sleep. So there they are sitting, waiting, doing nothing, and then all of a sudden they've written, "Go to sleep," because that was on his list. So now our Toad is happy. He completed his list. This next story is called The Garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Froggy said. "Yes," said Frog, "it is very nice, but it's hard work." "Wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Well, here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," he said, "start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and shouted loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. He's a silly toad. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now seeds start growing!" Frog came up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "You're shouting too much," said Frog. "Those poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow." Frog is giving him some good advice. Seeds need sunshine and rain. That night, Toad looked out the window. "Oh no," said Toad. "My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." So he went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "They will not be afraid." So Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seed, and the next day Toad read poems to his seeds, and all the next day Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired and he fell asleep. So he's singing, he's reading poems, he's playing music. No seeds. "Toad, Toad, wake up," said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. "At last," shouted Toad, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. And now you'll have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad, "you were right, Frog. It was very hard work." The next story is called Cookies. Toad baked some cookies. "These cookies smell very good," said Toad. He ate one, "and they taste even better," he said. He ran to Frog's house. "Frog, Frog, taste these cookies that I made." Frog ate one of the cookies. "These are the best cookies I've ever eaten," said Frog. Frog and Toad ate many cookies, one after another. "You know, Toad," said Frog with his mouth full, "I think we should stop eating them. We're going to get sick." "You're right," said Toad. "Let's eat one last cookie and then we'll stop." So Frog and Toad ate one last cookie. There were many cookies left in the bowl, though. "Frog," said Toad, "let's eat one very last cookie and then we'll stop." So Frog and Toad ate one very last cookie. I think they're going to get sick if they don't stop. "We must stop eating," cried Toad as he ate another. "Yes," said Frog, reaching for a cookie. "We need willpower." "What's willpower?" asked Toad. "Willpower is trying hard not to do something that you really want to do," said Frog. "You mean like trying not to eat all the cookies?" asked Toad. "Right," said Frog. They're trying really hard not to eat those cookies. Frog put the cookies in a box. "There," he said. Now we will not eat any more cookies." "But we can't open the box," said Toad. "That is true," said Frog. So Frog tied some string around the box. "There, now we'll not eat any more cookies." "But we can cut the string and open the box," said Toad. "That is true," said Frog. They're trying to figure out a way not to eat those cookies. Frog got a ladder. He put the box up on a high shelf. "There," said Frog. "Now we will not eat any more cookies." "But we can climb the ladder and take the box down from the shelf and cut the string and open the box," said Toad. "That is true," said Frog. Frog climbed the ladder and took the box down from the shelf. He cut the string and opened the box. Wonder what they're going to do. Hope they don't eat any more. They might get sick. Frog took the box outside. He shouted in a loud voice, "Hey birds, here are cookies." Birds came from everywhere. They picked up all the cookies in their beaks and flew away. "Now we have no more cookies to eat," said Toad sadly. "Not even one." "Yes," said Frog, "but we have lots and lots of willpower." "You may keep it all, Frog," said Toad. "I'm going home now and bake a cake." So they did share their cookies with birds. Now, there are 2 more stories left in the book. One is called The Dream, and the other one is called The Dragons and Giants. So, if you want to learn about Frog and Toad with a dragon and a giant, come to the library and check out Frog and Toad together.